All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It is Wednesday morning, July the 31st. Rise and shine, my friends. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather, hopefully getting your day started off on the right note. It's a beautiful but kind of cloudy-ish start. A little bit of haze out there. This is a live look outside on our Tower Cam network. We're looking out over the Lake Buena Vista area, we'll say. Really pretty start to the day there. Let me take you over, see what's doing on the Orlando International Airport Tower Cam. Yep, watching some clouds over top of us there. Let's head to the Wesh 2 studios, looking over to Altamont Springs. Sorry, took a sip. Yep, a little bit of haze. Let's head over to the beaches, see what's doing. Port Canaveral. Rise and shine. Ships in. Couple of clouds around. New Smyrna Beach. We're not going to get to all of them. Yeah, it's pretty. There's some bugs. Oof, give me the heebie-jeebies. But it's a pretty morning. So, all right, gotta love that. Temperatures out the door looking good in the neighborhood. Mid to upper 70s, even lower 80s. First warning, live Doppler radar. Nice and quiet. Couple sprinkles off the shoreline. That's about all we got for you. Otherwise, it is nice, nice, nice. Here's a look at the forecast today. Will be a nice morning, but into the afternoon, we're looking at widespread showers and thunder showers. It's going to become an active day. 60% of us getting stormed on, high temperatures making it into the mid 90s. And very clearly, you can see we are calling today impact weather. We've got those little yellow icons letting you know, yes, weather will be impactful in those time frames. So let's take a look at our Futurecast model, in-house model, kind of running and gunning, showing us what's doing. This morning, yeah, it's got the clouds around, not a huge deal. Through time, 11, 12 o'clock, a couple of showers, perhaps over the Space Coast early, developing that East Coast sea breeze. There's 1, 2 o'clock, not too bad. 3, 4 o'clock, starting to get into the widespread activity. And then everything eventually wants to work off toward the west. So it's not going to be a bad one. It is going to be an active one. And I think that that's the key takeaway there. All right. So 60% of us through the day getting stormed on. In terms of temperatures, mid 90s in Orlando, 95 degrees here. It's 95 degrees in Leesburg, about 90 degrees in Palm Coast, and 91 in Titusville. So there you go. There's today. We're looking good in the neighborhood. I know a ton of people are wanting to learn about the tropics, and certainly we are going to discuss the tropics. And you can see I've got the little doohickey mabob in the bottom corner. So before we get to the tropics, questions about our local forecast. I'll give you all a few seconds. Patty says nothing for Palm Coast again. I'm sorry. If we look at today's rain chance map, Palm Coast is definitely not a big winner, we'll say. Ironically, it's almost like a cruel joke, but the East Coast spots have the lower chance, at least on the Barrier Islands and up into Flagler County. But the majority of the rest of us are pretty much into a medium or a high chance of getting some rain. Yeah. All right. Yeah, the doohickey mabob is the technical term for that thing. All right. Questions about our local forecast. Yes, when you put that in the corner, it blocks us on the future. You don't even live in my coverage area, Frank, my brother in Pinellas County. But yes, when I put the doohickey mabob, sorry, here. Just for my brother Frank, who lives outside of the Wesh 2 CW18 coverage area. But also that says a lot when he watches his brother instead of his local stations. All right, so there. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the map. Just so. There, Frank. All right, I got you, boo. All right. Here's Futurecast for today, just for Frank. So 12, 12:30, 1 o'clock, starting to see the showers popping up around, right? Watch, here we go. Oh my gosh, Andrew says local stations here stink. I assume you're talking about Tampa. I don't know. Maybe you're not. 3, 4 o'clock going pretty widespread, and there's a pretty good coverage. Seabreeze collision around 6, 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then everything kind of sneaking back over to the east. Or to the west, I should say. All right? See, we moved the map just for you. I worked in TV news. Yes, Tampa. Oh, sorry, Andrew. I stand with Frank on this one. Understood. Understood. Yeah, I mean, I've never worked in the Tampa market, but yeah. Robin says Vero here, out of map. You're in the WPBF, WPTV, WPEC coverage area. But hey, I was there just the other day. Christy says, Frank is my hero. Us Lakelanders love you. Well, thank you, Christy. Love you. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the tropics, right? First off, you can see in the bottom corner, development chances remain right where they were. But there's a little bit of an uptick in convection. I've got the super, sensitive satellite imagery. And so it's showing a lot more clouds than a less sensitive flavor of it. But there's definite organization. It's not like a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but it has started to bubble up a little bit. So the idea here is that we probably are going to see something trying to come together. All right. Cindy's asking, what's your gut telling you? It's going to be a kind of a late bloomer. This is not something that's going to become massive and work all the way across the Atlantic, I can tell you that. But the problem is with these late bloomers, they develop a little bit closer to us. And that gives us less time to kind of prepare. So official word from the Hurricane Center, and you can see that on the bottom corner there, but the official word from the Hurricane Center is that there is a 60% likelihood of this forming over the next 7 days' time. Important to note, the next 2 days' time, still at 0. We're thinking that it will not form in the next 2 days' time. All right. So what are we looking at here? This is not a forecast cone. Okay. What we're looking at here is that's where it is now. That line is where it's expected to move over the next couple of days before development. And then it's in this box here. This box shows where we think it will develop. And that's key because we still have a few days before development. I would suspect that as early as this afternoon, the next 2 days, percentage will probably start to come up a little bit, okay? Robert, retired relaxed Floridian on Twitter. Good morning from Tampa. Looking forward to coffee talk. We have nothing like that in Tampa. Well, thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. You're not quite in my coverage area. I'm always going to tease the area strictly because my big brother, who watches every morning, I need to go. I just heard a scream. Hold on a second. This is the parenting part. Hold on. Are we okay? Okay. Apologies. Somebody bopped somebody on the head. We had a moment. This is called dead air. Yes, I know it's called dead air. I forgot what we were even talking about. Oh, man. What were we talking about? I totally lost my train of thought. So at any rate, not remembering exactly where we were. This is a situation where it's still not going to develop rapidly. We think that we still have a couple of days before this forms. Now, one way that we can track this, of course, is by looking at some of the raw computer models. So let's do that, all right? We'll start with the American GFS model. Oh, I was making fun of my... Yeah, I'm always going to tease the Tampa area just because my big brother is there, and I just feel like that's what I have to do. Long story long. All right, so first off, here's the American GFS. What we're looking at is what's called mean sea level pressure normalized anomaly, all right? So that blue there on the kind of right side of your screen, That, my friends, is this area of low pressure. So watch how it's, the GFS is kind of hugging Puerto Rico, hugging the Dominican Republic and Haiti, hugging Cuba. And then look at that, it's almost like south of Cuba, even on Saturday. And then afterward, it lifts up to the north, probably becomes a hurricane, and moves into like it really intensifies to a hurricane and then moves into the Gulf Coast and then kind of starts to do its thing. So that's an interesting adjustment. That's the GFS model. All right. Um, that's one way to look at it. It does get strong as it approaches the panhandle. Okay. All right. Let's look at the European model and see what it's doing. All right. North of Puerto Rico, north of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And then out, interestingly enough, kind of out into the Gulf of Mexico. That's the 6Z. If we go to the 0Z, it's a little further east. If we go to the 18Z, further east, 12Z. Yeah, see how the 12Z is further east, the 0Z kind of is still east, but is further to the west. And then this most recent run is perhaps a little further west. So are we starting to see a little bit of a tick over to the west on the European? That's definitely something that we'll need to watch trends today on. European AIFS. Now, I have zero knowledge base going before this year. This is a new way to look at modeling. Basically, this is the European AI model. Run twice a day. So let's see what the AI model is saying. Basically, up the East Coast and then out to sea. Okay, and then we've got the Canadian kind of out over the Gulf Coast there. And then looping over to the Outer Banks. Now this is still early in the game because we haven't really seen development. So the models are not going to be great tools yet. One thing that I do think is a great tool is going to be the ensemble members. So ensemble members are basically 25, 50 flavors of a model. So for example, this is the GFS ensemble. A better way to perhaps look at it is this is what you're looking at is going to be like 30 different versions of the GFS, okay? So we can overlay them on top of each other and just kind of get an idea on what the members are showing. And the GFS ensemble's not doing much, like at all. Like maybe we're starting to see some stuff out in the Gulf of Mexico there. Yeah. Um, so the GFS ensemble isn't crazy, but it's showing some stuff out in the Gulf. So that's the GFS ensemble. The European ensemble is still up the east coast of Florida. Offshore, perhaps. It's going to be a little bit stronger, but it's up the east coast. The Canadian ensemble is kind of widespread, but really wanting to be more of a Gulf kind of situation. So at this point, the models are a little scatterbrained. One thing that we put together was trying to show this, and this is kind of looking at all the different global models and what they're doing, all right? One thing to point out is that none of the models indicate a hurricane for us. The GFS is trying to give the Panhandle or the Gulf Coast a hurricane, but none of the models are indicating a hurricane for Central Florida. All right? Sound good? Sound good? Works for me. We'll see. I mean, there's definite bubble up down there. And so for this morning, I think the idea here is as it's kind of sitting and starting to bubble up, now the models are going to have some new data. Hurricane hunters are on standby. they'll head out when they can get some data. Zadie's asking, are we worrying about this potential storm hitting us on Saturday? It would be a kind of a weekend thing, right? So in terms of like local impacts, I would say here's kind of the bottom line is Sunday, Monday is probably the time frame we would be looking at it, but it's not developed yet. So now that we're starting to form some clouds, starting to see some organization, we'll start to, we'll be able to tag it as an invest. Once it's tagged as an invest, um, we'll be able to get more model data. We'll start to get some hurricane hunters in. But you can't do much until the thing starts to do the things, right? Satellite imagery now is showing that. So now we can say this is an invest. And I would suspect that today we probably have an invest. Once we do, we'll have spaghetti models. Once we have spaghetti models, we'll be able to run more data. We'll be able to throw hurricane hunters in there and get more data and all that fun stuff. All right. Mike's weather page seems like the Gulf is still in play in the upper Gulf. Yeah, absolutely. You can only trust computer models so far as you can throw them when it comes to weaker systems, right? And these things are going to windshield wiper back and forth. You can see the angle of attack shows a harsh recurvature. It's all in when does it form? How quickly does it form? Those are going to be the keys to the eventual castle here. If it forms quick, it's going to recurve earlier. Remember, weaker goes west when it comes to tropical systems. All right? So, again, I think the biggest thing to remember is it hasn't developed. Now that it's starting to put some stuff together, it's in the blueprint phase, right? We haven't gotten to permitting yet. It's in the blueprint phase. So, we're going to watch each model run, and each model run is going to have a better handle on it. But it's still at this point, without it being developed, it's tough to really get into the nitty-gritty. But we're really looking at later this weekend into early next week, all right? So that's where we're at. What about the rain content? So for that, again, heavily dependent on eventualities, but based on the global models, you've got the European model, which is like, now let's think about it. What does the European model do with this thing, right? So European, let's just watch this again side by side here. Okay. So the European brings it up the East Coast. And as it's bringing it up the East Coast, that puts us on the subsidence side, the dry side of the storm system. Whereas the GFS puts us on the east side of the storm, which would be the sloppier, wetter side. So, with that said, again, let's change over to the European and GFS rain chances. And through 11 p.m. on Monday, the European is like, you'll get a half an inch through Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's 6 days. Whereas the GFS is like, oh, yeah, we're going to put you on the wet side of this one. 6 days, you'll get 8 to 12 inches of rain in some spots, 5 to 8 across the metro, 3 to 5 across the majority of Central Florida. So you can see the difference, right? If it's east of us, we could go completely dry this weekend. If it's west of us or like on top of us, we could go super soggy, which means as a forecaster, this is a really tough forecast to make for the weekend. I'll show it to you, but really, all depends on what this little tropical thingamablob does. You know? We'll see. We'll see. Really hoping it stays weak. My kiddo is going to be so disappointed if she misses swimming with the fishes in Coco Key or in Coco Cay. Yeah, but safety is safety, but agreed. Love how the GFS wants to focus on UCF. The GFS used to run the backup server in Orlando. Did you know that? I didn't even know that. Melissa's asking, think the Bright Line will run this weekend? I don't see why not. Again, at this point in time, none of the computer models are indicating a hurricane for Central Florida. The GFS admittedly wants to lower the pressure enough to bring a hurricane into the panhandle, but not for us. Okay? So even if you've got a bunch of moisture, remember, Central Florida needs weak tropical systems for our climatology. So that's not a terrible thing, right? This is not a terrible thing. As a matter of fact, this is a very normal thing. Very normal thing. So it'll be interesting to watch and see, how this satellite shapes up. I think I want to I've got all the lower levels on because when it was a nothing, I needed them. But I think at this point I can start to tweak this around. So let me, yeah, this is better now. Now that we've got, I can fix that satellite color table there. Yeah. And then I need to fix the little inset here. Give me 2 seconds. I'll fix the inset. The little thing in the bottom left corner, I need to fix it to make it the normal satellite, not the like overly sensitive satellite. Perfect. Save. Okay. All right. So that's where we're at. Okay? Sound good? Questions, comments, concerns. It's going to take it a few seconds for that one in the bottom left to fix itself. Jim says, flying out of MCO on Tuesday morning. Hopefully we can go on vacation. Yeah, I don't see why not. How would this affect my portfolio? Canaveral cruise on August 11th. It's not going to. Brandon, a lot of the models are shifting west. Yeah, I mean, first off, it's pretty far south. Second off, it's weak still. So yeah, it's yeah. Florida needs a good cleanse every now and then. Look, our climate depends on it. So yeah. All right. The new 06 Euro is interesting though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, right? It's still too early to tell, which I'm fine with. But yeah. Terry, out of Africa, what is that? Oh, another wave? Let's see. Stand by. Give me a second to find the raw satellite. All right. All right. So here's the raw satellite. Yeah, I mean it's another wave, but notice that as it's working out into the Atlantic, it's not really showing a ton of organization. It's there, but it's doing its thing. It'll take it a while to find its sea legs. So yeah, we're not there. We're not there yet. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Mickey, have the new 6Z Euro ensembles run yet? Let's see. I didn't even look to see what the timing was on that. Euro. I mean, this is 6Z. That's the 6Z ensembles, yeah. It's definitely, it's east, but it's perhaps there's one or two members that are taking it across Florida. Whereas if we go to the 0Z, I mean, there's your 6Z. Listen. Computer models are computer models. They're going to fling and flang. They're going to do all their stuff. And we'll watch it. We'll watch it. Tom says, is there still Saharan dust out there? There is, but it's starting to clear that area. So to that point here, I'll show it to you. It will be moving out, but you can still see, once it does, I think that we'll have a good opportunity for development. But you can still see there's plenty of Saharan dust around. But getting into the Caribbean / the, Turks, Caicos area, we'll be able to clear that out a little bit. Now, one thing I didn't do yet is I haven't, we're getting close enough. I haven't looked at our Futurecast model. Ba, 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 ba. Here's our Futurecast model. Yeah, it's really not doing much organization. Like it's a pretty open wave still over like Cuba on Friday. That's as far out as it goes. That's a 6Z. If we go to the 0Z, so one run behind. Yeah, thankfully no significant organization. So to that point, you know, yeah, it's wanting to bring that energy down into Cuba. And honestly, things that move down to Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti tropically, they don't they don't do well. There's a lot of terrain down there. That's where tropical systems do not thrive. So again, I think the bottom line when it comes to the tropics, we're watching each model run, but nothing has developed yet. And so we just have to keep watching and waiting. But this weekend into early next week is the time frame. Okay. What do you think chances are it doesn't organize at all? I think it's going to organize just by looking at that satellite. I mean, it's already starting in dry air, in wind shear, in Saharan dust air. So it's showing that it's a fighter and that it wants to do something. Do I think it's going to become massive? No, thankfully, I don't. But we'll watch and track it for sure. Yeah. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Last night, just a small strip had some down fence. Oh, interesting. It could be straight line wins. Yeah, I hadn't heard of anything. Kelly's asking, what are we thinking for cruises leaving out of Port Liberty? Where's Port Liberty? I've never heard of Port Liberty. Port Liberty. Oh, in Jersey? This is pretty far from Jersey, so there's that. Going to be the Bahamas Monday, Tuesday. By Monday, Tuesday, Kelly, I would say, if there's any issues, your cruise line's going to steer clear. They may go wide, they may cut along the shoreline, but it's going to be in that. It will be kind of coming toward the area that you'd be sailing. So I would just say, you know, it may get a little bumpy, may have some showers. We'll see. Look, the cruise lines, particularly Royal. I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but like Royal Caribbean, they do really great work. My buddy Craig is their chief meteorologist, so they have a meteorologist on staff. I believe they're the only cruise line that does. He's not going to put anybody into a hurricane. Yeah. All right. Now we're reporting on Jersey weather. I didn't know. I'd never heard of Port Liberty, but I guess it makes sense. I've never sailed out of Jersey before. Yeah. Beverly, we won't have the dust in September. More than likely not. Yeah. I just saw a newspaper page saying, could Tropical Storm Debbie be headed to Florida? Florida Times Union 16 hours ago, according to Google. There's no Tropical Storm Debbie. I will say, though, like full disclosure, the next storm that does develop would take that name, but it is not developed yet. Got it, Deborah. So just like Newark Airport makes sense. I am not flying with an airplane to get more data, at least personally. Any chance for rapid intensification when it gets out of the dry air and Saharan dust? It could try to get going. Yeah. Debbie says, I'm not ready to be a tropical storm. Girl, you're a Cat 6. Don't even. You're already there. All right. Terry says, thanks, Eric. We know you will send out a note as soon as more is known. I will, trust me, I will be constantly posting, constantly posting, constantly posting, constantly posting. So what you're saying is we'll get rain this weekend. What's so frustrating is it's not a guarantee. Like if it goes west or over us, then yeah, we'll get a ton of rain. If it goes east of us, we'll go dry and it'll be just straight sunshine, which is beautiful, but it's, yeah. Lauren's asking, how will this affect Montego Bay? So down in Jamaica, this probably should stay north of it. Should be. All right. Cat 10, please don't insult me with the cat 6. Truth, truth, truth. Terry, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, my friends? Anything at all, anything at all, as we peek in on the visible satellite presentation of the system. Just some squally weather for our friends through the Caribbean. Nothing more than that. Yeah. How do cruises from Jacksonville on Monday look? Probably a little wet. A little wet. Kind of like our local for it. Listen, for now, it may get like a little wetter, a little stormier, but like our local forecast for today is kind of crummy. You know, our local forecast, clouds, showers, storms, 60% coverage of rain. So understand that like our local weather depends on things very similar. All right. We need the rain. We're going to get the rain, right? There's our 7-day forecast. As soon as it loads, it'll load. There it is. There's our 7-day forecast, right? So 60% coverage of storms. We'll make tweaks to our Saturday, Sunday, Monday forecast as we start to zero in on exactly how this is going to play out for our local forecast. Katie, are those new graphics? Nope. There may be some coming. Can you see any issues with flights in and out of Orlando Monday, Tuesday? I mean, no model wants this to become a hurricane in our area. If that changes, we'll let you know. But for right now, clouds, showers, storms, maybe an uptick in rain, maybe a downtick in rain if it goes east of us. So you're going to see stuff. Don't be freaking out. Okay? Don't be freaking out. You're going to see stuff online. People are going to talk about a Cat 6 and all that other garbage. The answer is no. We're not going to get a major hurricane into Orlando, at least not indicated right now. Could the models adjust and tweak? Sure. I'll be tracking and posting and all that other fun stuff. I would suspect that this becomes an invest today. When it does, we'll start to post that data for you. All right? Patricia, I have to fly to Puerto Rico for business. How will it affect there? So, here. I'll show you Futurecast for the next couple days. No freaking out. Straight to full panic mode. Yeah, no. All right. Give me a second. We'll go down to Puerto Rico. I mean, squally weather, right? Like squally weather for our friends in Puerto Rico. All right. So, like, here's today's weather. Puerto Rico is going to get some rain. Like, here's tomorrow, some rain. That's it, right? That's fine. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's going to be like a little gustier, but this is thankfully not looking like it's going to be a big deal for anybody. Okay? So that's good to know. Lisa, I love how blunt you are and that you're not rolling up your sleeves already. I am rolling up my sleeves, and I roll up my sleeves all the time. TV has changed. Okay, so I feel like I need to address that. TV has changed dramatically in the last 5-10 years. There are days I don't even wear a tie on TV. And my sleeves are rolled up every day at work, even on camera. So just know that that's not a direct reflection of like, oh my God, the is hitting the. It has nothing to do with that. And everything to do with an image consultant named Audrey Mansfield. Okay? Oh man, Lisa's like, I love that you're not doing this, and then I'm doing this. I'm really sorry. Oh man. And the tie is off, exactly. I just don't plan on fizzling out like Chris did. I'm okay being a fish store. There you go. Yeah, Debbie. Don't be like Chris, right? Chris, show my weather, show my Buddy, I am Central Florida, son. Oh, Audrey Mansfield accent. It's not a good accent. She's got a good accent. I don't have a good accent. Yeah. So, anyway. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Victoria says we just had our patio cleaned and resealed. If I leave I have furniture in the garage. We won't get any storms. If I move it all back Friday, watch out. May take one for the team and keep it all stored. I need to get all my stuff resealed. Bleh. Friday night flying into Tampa will be okay. You'll be fine. Totally fine. Please let it rain, but not on Sunday. If this wants to be an impactor for us, let's look again at the side-by-side European and GFS just so that we can compare notes, okay? All right. So both models showing a blob of moisture, right? This is Saturday morning. The European has it over like the Central Bahamas. The GFS kind of has it over Cuba, okay? Watch how Saturday night the European on the left side has it over the Bahamas and us dry, whereas the GFS is kind of bringing it over the Gulf Coast there. And look at how, like, Sunday morning, maybe some coastal showers, some rip currents, but the storm system east of us on the European, so we would be dry, whereas on the GFS basis, we would be getting sloppy rains basically all day long. And that continues through Sunday into Monday. So, for right now, it looks like if this were to be a player for us, worst of the weather would probably be from about late Saturday through early Monday. And of course, as this gets closer and closer, we'll watch. Hurricanes, tropical storms, tropical depressions, tropical waves. These are marathons. It's not one of those things where you just track it and it's done. It takes days and days and days of watching. So we're going to continue to watch it and continue to follow it. But for right now, my friends, I'm happy to say that the organization is not there. But through the day today, I suspect that this is going to get better organized. And I would suspect that we probably have an invest by later today, which means nothing more than we're going to get computer model data. Okay? All right. Questions, comments, concerns. All right. Anything? 83 on YouTube, but 331 here. I've got 700 or so watching right now on all the channels. I don't, I don't do coffee talk any differently with 1,000 or two. When we have like threats, the numbers go up, and all it means is that people get mad at me because I can't respond to all the questions. Stephanie's asking, when's your next meeting with Jeremy? Probably tomorrow morning. Have to finalize that with him. Yeah. All right. All right. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. We'll see you guys and gals tomorrow morning for Coffee Talk, and I'll let you know if we're going to do another Tracking the Tropics. Okay. Mike says people get mad on social. Mr. Mike, my God. I it was the one thing that I was warned about when I was getting into TV was before social media, just people can be awful to you. There was no social media. But for somebody like you, Mike, who didn't kind of go through like that internship process, I feel like you just went face first into the lion's den and had to thicken that skin real quick. People can be mad and mean and on social media and phone calls and emails and all this. What are you going to do? Opinions are like armpits, y'all. All right. Be good. See y'all later. Sound good? Bye.